Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the West Ham Network. This now is moving from transfers. We will bring you any breaking news with West Ham, just like we did on Andy.
Well, I'm just going to throw it out there. You've got an hour to kill because the draw doesn't start until 12.
Yeah, no, we knew that. We knew that.
Oh, okay.
We knew that.
We were hoping to just chat more about Andy Irvine.
Yeah, we're gonna. This is your scouting report.
Andy.
This is your scouting report. But yeah, no, we are here on for the live Europa League draw. The draw will take place in an hour's time, so we've got an hour to kill. I know people are going to be dropping in and out, so don't worry about that. But keep your comments coming in, and we'll keep you updated on as much of the clubs as we possibly can. But first and foremost, Holly, the third year in a row in European football. It is a good feeling, isn't it? It is a good feeling.
It's unbelievable. And I never thought that we would manage this consistently. When we got into Europe, I thought once in a lifetime opportunity, I'm going to go to every game I can, soak up every moment that I can. Because as a West Ham fan, we know that this does not really happen. The fact that we've managed to consistently stay in it shows that although there's definitely been some ups and downs and some stressful times at West Ham, we are doing something right, because it is not easy to keep getting into Europe and also performing well. Like, we were disappointed in the first time when we got knocked out was really disappointing. Then we've gone and won the Conference League, and now we've got another shot at this again, and the squad is looking better than ever. So I'm feeling so positive about this. How are you both feeling about this?
And over to you.
Do you know what? For me as well, with this one, there's less pressure, in my opinion, because we won the conference last year. But say like we get a really hard group and we finish third, we just drop down, and then you're still in Europe. That's the night. I feel like that's the nice thing. Like, there's a little bit less pressure for us this year. But it's just I can only kind of like echo what Holly said there. Like, it's unbelievable. As West Ham fans, who really thought we was ever going to get like 3 seasons in a row European football? And we've all had our moans about David Moyes and and whatnot, but like, we have to commend him for this, because without him at the helm, does it happen? And he's taken it seriously as well. That's what I really, really like, is every season he's taken it seriously. We've been really consistent European team. So long may it continue.
Well, yeah, you're 100% right in terms of the consistency, because, I know we've won the Europa Conference League last year, but we've gone into pot one as the number one seed. And the reason for that as well is because our coefficient score is taking a massive boost. And, all jokes aside, it's the truth. We've mentioned this before on the channel. We genuinely didn't speak about this. It's never really been on the tips of our tongues. And if it ever was, it was only because you were looking at the rules about the top 4 clubs in the Champions League, because no one else was being reasonably successful year on year in Europe. And it doesn't matter what competition, you're still in a competitive European competition. And now we've been in the competition for 2 years, qualified for the 3rd year, but we've gone in to pot one as the number one seed. And then you start to think to your head, we've got on paper a potential favourable draw for the first time. And Dan, you kind of hit the nail on the head. I don't know, would we have been there with another manager? As much as we moan and groan sometimes about the style of football, I don't necessarily know if we would have, Holly. What do you think?
I'm not sure. I think it would have probably been easier for Moyes, when we were having a terrible time in the Premier League, to have just gone, okay, I'm going to have to shift everything I can over to Premier League to save myself and save my job. And just leave Europe and see what happens. If we can get a result, then that's great. But it did feel like it has been taken really seriously throughout, even when we were having an absolute shocker in the Premier League, which I'm so glad about, because it gave us something to celebrate despite the difficult times that we were having in the Premier League. And it's just one of those moments when we obviously won the Conference League, where you're like, how have West Ham managed this? And it's something that I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. But I feel like it's not the end of the road. Like we can do this again, and we're now competing with these massive teams. And like you said, we're getting favourable draws, and we're in the same pot as like these massive teams, and it's really exciting. There's just so much more to look forward to with football, as well as the Premier League now, which is great.
It's nice to have these European nights, isn't it? At the London Stadium, you get the fireworks and the music and the banter goes, and the one thing I've loved about it is the away fans are crazy, and they generate the atmosphere, they help the atmosphere, don't they? When you've got, say, I don't know, Norwich City turning up at the London Stadium, then you've got Rapid Vienna, who the fans have got massive containers of urine and they're chucking it from one stand to another. I'm not saying that's great. You certainly don't want to be the receiving end of it, but it's just the mindset. It just adds to the. It's just mental. But yeah, what are you gonna say, Dan?
I think what I like is the fact there's actually something to compete for, because my whole thing with the Premier League is it's great. It's great being in, the Premier League. It's great being in one of the biggest leagues. But let's be honest. There's 4 teams every season that probably got a chance of winning it, and so you're playing for a position, right? And you don't stick a position in your trophy cabinet. You just don't. So like the fact you've got stuff to play for. I've always said, as long as we've known each other, and I'd take 17th every season if we won a trophy. I don't care about the league, and I love the fact that last season, even though we were struggling, Moyes went, "No, we're going to take this seriously. We're really going to give this a go. We're going to try and win this," and he went and did it. Even the final was a bloody grind, wasn't it? But he got it right. The tactics were right, and at the end of the day, you won the trophy, and that's all that matters. It doesn't matter how you played. When you take the trophy home, that's the biggest thing. You did it for the fan base and the players and whatnot. So, I'd happily take a crap league campaign if it meant that at the end of the season you win something.
Yeah. And touching on that as well. So I'm fortunate enough to have many Spurs supporting friends, actually, which means I get a lot of stick all year round. But when we won the Conference League, so many of them were like, yeah, but it's the Conference League and it doesn't really matter. And like everyone talking about this Mickey Mouse trophy. But what do you actually support football for? Like, it's the moments of joy and the moments of winning things and the moments that are going to just stay in your head forever. And I don't really care what it was that we won. Like, I genuinely couldn't care. It was having the opportunity to compete for something that meant something to us. I don't really care if other clubs think it means the world or they would want Champions League instead. For us, that was amazing. That was such an achievement. And it also wasn't easy. Like, any team can turn up on the day, and people were sort of downgrading the teams that we were facing and things like that. But any team can mess up on the day and any team can have an amazing game. And we did that consistently to keep doing well, to keep winning. And we've won something. And that does not really happen at West Ham. And it's massive. And I think it's helping us now get players in because we have European football consistently. It's not a one-off. players that want to play in Europe are now coming to us because we can actually offer that on potentially ongoing basis as well. So it's huge for like the future as well as what we've already experienced.
I mean, if you look at this stat, West Ham have played 27 matches in Europe in 2 seasons. That's a great stat. It's a lot of games. It's a good stat, but that means that West Ham are travelling far in the tournaments. As we know, Europa League semi-final against Frankfurt. I mean, that's still to this day heartbreaking. Even though we won the Conference League, it still is heartbreaking because you go through those emotions of that night. But then obviously the next year going to win the Conference League, which is such a fantastic achievement for West Ham. And again, I'm getting goosebumps even talking about it constantly. It just kicks in, doesn't it? It just comes back just like that. For doing it, and like you said, you know, the ability to be able to maybe bring in a better quality transfer can definitely help. You know, I genuinely don't think we would Kudos and other players if we you know hadn't have been playing European football.
Yeah, the caliber of player increases, doesn't it? You know, with all these competitions, you know, if we ever are lucky enough to get into the Champions League, imagine the sort of caliber of player we had to attract then. Because that is the elite of the elite, you know, and just kind of following on from something Holly said, like that, she obviously got a bit of stick about it being a bit of a 2-bob cup and whatever. I always say to people that say this, go and look at how Roma celebrated it. Now, Roma's a massive club, massive club, and you go and look at how they celebrated it. It was the best thing that ever happened to them, you know. So like, when we were over celebrating or whatever, as some might say, we're well within our rights to. It's a proper European competition. I don't care if it's the third tier of it; it's still a proper European competition. And you know, when they come to announce stuff later, West Ham, they will be mentioned as the holders, which is mad. Think about that. You know, that's actually crazy. So I don't care as long as you're in Europe, because the European nights are just the best anyway. Like the atmosphere, like because I'm one of them. I moan about the London Stadium because it's not Upton Park, but the atmosphere in there on a European night is next to none.
It really is. It really is.
Love it.
Let's take a look at some of the pots that are available now today. So as you can see there in pot 1, I think as of last night at one point, Rangers were in pot 2, but due to the results, they actually got pushed up into pot 1. So we cannot get Rangers. I think there was an element of, for me, selfishly, I was like, I'll get Rangers because it's literally 30 minutes from my doorstep. And then I would have had an away game on my doorstep. And then I would be watching you all, waving to you all, flying back down the road. Do you know what I mean? But in the pot 1, you've got West Ham, Roma, Villarreal, Atalanta, Liverpool. Who's Ajax? Is that what they called? What's their name? Did not have another name?
Who are you on about?
Is it Ajax?
That's Ajax, I think. Is
that why?
Yeah.
Why you don't know him?
Is that why he's put his bloody spelling mistake? I've just got confused. I was like, I was trying to think like AZ Alkmaar, but not AZ Alkmaar. I was thinking of someone else. I don't know who I was thinking of.
No, I think
Ajax. Yeah, we'll get a little cheeky spelling mistake there. Bayer Leverkusen and Rangers in pot 1. Pot 2, you know, some really big teams in there: Real Betis, Rennes, Marseille, Slavia Prague, Olympiacos. Looking at that one, Holly, over to you. Who would be your preferable choice of pot 2? I know it never works this way, but who would it be?
I think if we want to get further, maybe LASK, Lask. Yeah, I'd probably choose them. But there's some really good away days there. So I think either way it'd be fun. But then again, back to Prague, for Slavia Prague, there's a lot of good draws that we could get there, to be honest. I'd take any, because I think if you can turn up on the day, they always say it doesn't matter who you face. But yeah, I would love a good away day. I don't think I'll be able to get to it this time, but I would love a good away day. You can't make up for it in football when you get to go to another country and just celebrate with other fans. So that's what I would say. What about you guys?
Dan, over to you, mate.
I don't mind, genuinely. Betis or Sporting for me. Portugal and Spain, nice. Get a little trip away as well. But yeah, I don't really like. You've got whoever you get, you got to beat them to get through. I say this all the time. I'm probably the most boring person to have on a draw because I don't care who we get. But
take them all.
Yeah, do you know? Looking at that though, because I've not really looked at the teams in any of the pots, to be honest with you. There's some big clubs in it, isn't there? Like that. Yeah. There is a distinct jump in sort of class from the Conference League that we had last year. There are some really, really big teams in that. Like even down to like the pot 3 and pot 4. Yeah, you know, I'm looking at Freiburg in Germany, a very, very good club. You got the other Prague-based club there as well. Can we draw them? Because obviously our owner owns one of them.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, you know, Slavia Prague, Sparta Prague, both in there. So I think we can. I don't think there's any rule that states that they can't. I think, yeah, no, I think, I don't know if it's to do with, is that not tends to happen when it's a majority shareholder or something like that? And remember,
I'm not sure.
I think Kretinsky's quite happy being the minority shareholder in everything he does, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, I've always stated this, right? I know I want West Ham to travel far, but I want them to be big. The bigger they come, the harder they fall. I like that. You know, you enter these big cup competitions. You know, you look at the Newcastle draw in the Champions League, and everyone's like, "Oh, the group of death." Well, do you know what? What's the point in bloody going to the Champions League if you're going to be traveling to a country and to a team that have got 10,000 in this month? You know,
Do you know what? Do you know what though? I fancy them. Even in that group, I fancy them because the thing with Newcastle is they just have a go. Like they're all out attack, and so they got goals in them. And you know, Dortmund ain't what they were. Like a lot of people they just see that name Dortmund and they're like, "Well, massive German club," but they're not what they were. They've been kind of on the downside the last couple of years. You know, PSG, that's just class because you've got to look at the players that are there. You know, AC Milan, them away days are unreal. Like really for Newcastle, that's like if you're going to go back in the Champions League, that's the group you want because your away days are just going to be mad. And then if you beat any of those clubs, the feeling, you know, because they're all big clubs.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, no, definitely interesting draw. We've got some information on some of the teams there. So Sporting obviously playing in Portugal, capacity stadium, 50,000 fans. You know, they've got such a strong history for obviously winning honours as well. So that would be a nice little cheeky away day in Portugal, sunning up, getting a little tan for us all, you know, all that sort of stuff. It'd be a good little cheeky away day. Rennes in France, you know, formerly, I mean, listen, we played them in in the pre-season and it wasn't so great at the time. However, they did at the time have one of the best young talents in world football, in Jeremy Doku, who dominated play against us and he's now left. But, you know, we've been there, done that, wore the T-shirt over the pre-season, but it'll be a different game and competitive style. What do you think of Rennes, Dan?
Yeah, I watched them obviously in that pre-season fixture, and they tore us a new one, didn't they? They were brilliant in that game, and had a good season last year. You know, had a very, very good season. I haven't kind of looked on how they've replaced Doku or if they have yet, but I would imagine there's money there to spend. What was it, 55 million they got for him? So it'd be interesting to see what sort of team they have. You know, post that player move into City, but they're going to be one to watch.
Holly, what about this team, Real Betis? Former manager Manuel Pellegrini doing his business out in Spain. You know, he could make his return to West Ham. Is there an element? Do you ever regret anything with Pellegrini at all?
No, I think
Harry's like,
no. I was really excited when we brought him in because of the pedigree and the reputation that he had. But then when I saw how he was working with the players that we had, and I just felt like there was very little hope for how we were playing, but where we were even trying to head. As frustrating as it has been with Moyes many times, you feel like at least he's trying to get a good work ethic into a lot of the team, and it doesn't always work. But with Pellegrini, I just couldn't even see the vision of where he was trying to take us, let alone where we could actually realistically head. So no, I don't really miss Pellegrini, and don't get me wrong, maybe he's gonna go on to other clubs and do an amazing job with them. It wasn't easy coming to deal with what he was given at West Ham, I'm sure, but no, I think we got rid of Pellegrini at the right time for us.
Yeah, it was an experiment that went wrong.
Yeah,
in my opinion, it was a name. The board looked at it. It's a name. He's won the Premier League, and then they gave him a lot of money to spend. And then, and it just didn't. But I'm not being funny. That the team he won the league with at City, I could have won the league with. So, do you know what I mean? They were just far superior to all the other teams at the time. So, I don't know. Yeah, it was just, for me, it was just one of them. It was an experiment that didn't work.
Yeah,
and he spent a lot of money.
Yeah.
He's doing a decent job out in Spain again. You know, back whereas where he's well known in the area. Marseille, no return for Dimitri Payet. He's left. If anyone hasn't known that, I think a lot of people were talking about that was the kind of signing that went under the radar when he left Marseille. But they've been prominent
There'll be one to watch because they've had a really good transfer window. They brought in a lot of good players, old and young. So they've mixed that experience with youth, and I think they will be definitely one to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Slavia Prague, get the lads back to their former club as well. The Czechs, you were out there in Prague, weren't you, Holly?
I was. And it's an amazing place to be as well. And the people there are lovely. And I can see why Souček and Soufal seem so friendly as well, just because everyone was chatting to everyone. I was looking as well, Slavia Prague, they're doing really well. Obviously, they are second, but they've also scored 10 goals so far. They look pretty solid. They've won the last 4 games in a row, so form's looking good. So they definitely won't be an easy one to beat. But again, that would be a great away day, I think. I don't know if I'd want to go back to Prague, or if I feel like I just want to keep those memories of what happened in Prague and go to another place for an away day if I could. Maybe a different one.
Like we've already discussed, there's 2 teams in 2 different pots from Prague, so there's a high chance we could get one of the teams from there, so we could be heading back to the Czech Republic. Olympiacos in Greece, Dan?
Yeah, big club out there, aren't they? Greek football is not what it was, but I still think it'd be a hard game, to be honest with you. They currently sit in top of the league.
Yeah.
So
scored 6 goals, conceded none in 2 games.
So yeah, definitely 100%. Lask, currently in the Austrian Bundesliga, currently 5th in the league as well. You mentioned that, a nice little trip to Austria. You fancy that one, Holly?
Yeah, always up for an away day. I think that would be a really good one. Again, interesting to see what they turn up with on the day, because I really do think that someone can have the best reputation or look like one of the easier teams to face, but until you actually turn up, you don't know how you're going to play, how they're going to play. Anyone can do it on the day.
Yeah,
should be a good one. But yeah,
definitely 100%. Azerbaijan team, Qarabag. I don't know. Like I think on paper, a lot of fans go, "I want the easiest route in." Sometimes that doesn't work. I always think of, was it Sheriff that played Real Madrid in the Champions League, and beat them on their home turf as well. So it's got the potential to be a banana skin. But any feelings or thoughts toward? I mean, I know we don't know anything about the team really, but what's your thoughts, Dan?
For me, these are the ones I don't want. Because I feel like West Ham turn up against the big teams. Yeah, I feel like these are the ones where we sit off and take it easy. These are the ones. These are the teams I don't want personally. But
a lot more can go wrong as well, can't it? I feel like whether it's us underestimating the other team or as fans, you'd naturally be like we should easily win this, and they turn up on the day and you get battered, and you're just upset that you've been battered by a team that you.
And obviously, we live in the social media generation. It's just that meltdown on Twitter. Do you know what I mean? You can see it already.
If we can avoid it, that'd be great.
Yeah, 100%. Molde from Norway, currently 4th in the league. They're thereabouts in Europe as well. They do feature a reasonable amount of times. A little trip to Scandinavia, I think that would be quite nice. Something a bit different. But over the winter time, no, it's cold. So yeah,
you're from Scotland. You're used to it.
Exactly, you're acclimatized.
That's true. Yeah, I'm close. I'm close up there. I'm close to them. This is who we were talking about from Moldova, Sheriff. They were a surprise package in the Champions League. They've done reasonably well actually in the Champions League a little while ago, but I think last year were in the conference and now in the Europa League. Again this year, stadium capacity 12,000. They
were refreshing. They were refreshing to watch.
Yeah, they were refreshing. They're an example though of maybe what you could call a kind of unknown team and overstepping their mark in a competition. So therefore, not turning up and expecting a result when in actual fact you should turn up and be professional and go and do your job. Whereas I think maybe Real Madrid expected a result and definitely got their pants pulled down, didn't they?
Kind of teams that get underestimated and then go and batter some of the big boys.
Yep. SC Freiburg from Germany, currently 5th in the league. got a good honours list there. They play at the Europa Park, just under 35,000 fans. So a potential trip to Germany as well. So that's a decent one. Maccabi Haifa from Israel play currently 11th in the league. They come with a really strong history. So I'm assuming their season's only early doors if they're sitting 11th in the league. I think they're obviously usually quite high up in the Israeli league. So obviously not been a great start. As well, Union SG from Belgium, currently fifth in the league, a strong honours list. But look at their stand, look at their stadium. It looks like a bloody semi-pro football stadium. From like
I mean, Chelmsford's ground looks better than that.
Yeah, it's mental. It's mental. I wonder if Russ has found like
big based on the picture.
You what?
That capacity sounds quite large compared to the number of seats I can see there.
Honestly, I think I wonder if Russ has found a really old picture of that, because that looks proper out of date. Proper out of date.
The renovation.
Yeah. The other team in Prague, Sparta Prague, currently first in the league. Good honours list as well. But like you said, Holly, do you want to just leave Prague alone because you've been there, done that, wore the t-shirt, or?
I like Prague though. It's cheap.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, great place.
Absolutely. Sturm Graz, everyone knows about them, Austrian Bundesliga as well. A nice little cheeky stadium, like a Brentford-ish stadium vibe about them. Maybe another cheeky trip to Austria. I'm just going through some of the teams in case anyone doesn't know. Toulouse, nice part of the country in France, currently 11th in the league. Not the greatest of honours lists, but that's not a bad thing because neither do we. So, so that could be a little cheeky trip. I think they're southern France, aren't they?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. TSC, Serbian Super League. So it's quite good for me to get an understanding of who these are. We can bring the information to you.
So that just go back to them a minute. Can you go back? Yeah. So 4,500. Their ground looks bigger than the one that's got 9,500.
Yeah, but then look, they actually look like they're. It looks like actually looks like a prison. Have you ever watch movies when you see what's the one, Escape to Victory? But then they've got other ones where they have football teams. And they're playing a prison. It actually looks like that's like prison cells. Like in that back stand, it literally looks like there's only 20 people, but the rest of it's like a housing estate or something like that.
Yeah.
It's mental. It's actually mental.
Mad.
Panathinaikos, 15,000. Another that'll be a nice warm trip for anyone.
Yes.
Anyone fancy that? Anyone fancy a bit of Panathinaikos? Aris Limassol, the Cypriot team. So, we went out to Cyprus last year. Mark Noble's favourite holiday stomping ground. So that could be another option for us. AK Athens in Greece. So a lot of Cypriot and Greek
teams. A lot of Greek teams, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. Servette. We played them, didn't we? We played them, was it last year in our pre-season friendly? Was it last year? I think it was.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It wasn't this year. It wasn't this year. It was last year. I think we played them as well. So maybe coming up against them as well. Who wants to pronounce that?
I'll give it a go. Rakal Czestochowa.
Yeah. And I don't have a clue where they're from. What flag's that? And why is Russ put that in his?
It even says it. No, Polish.
I just wanted to see you pronounce it.
Also, it does at the bottom. Yeah, I can see it now. I can see that now. BK Häcken in Sweden. Selfishly for me, I'd love to go there.
They beat what's name, didn't they, last night? They knocked out Hearts last night.
Right. Yep. I'd love to go there because I've got good friends out in Sweden, so it'd be quite good to jump out there as well. So there you go. That's all of the teams. Let me just bring, while we're just having a chin wag, loads of people in the comments saying who they would like, and I'll jump through them as well. So we're about half an hour away from the draw in itself. So let's see what everyone else is saying.
Just
Paul is saying,
Toby Cudworth for 90 Min Football said West Ham progressing talks with Juventus over Philip Kostic. Both loan and permanent deal have been discussed. West Ham still hoping to get this deal over the line before the window closes. Samuel Illing Jr. also asked about.
Right, okay. So there's more advancing.
That was it, not Hearts.
Continuing.
And also, I think I know this is not the transfer, but we'll do it because we have to. There's more news on the Jesse Lingard situation. And so obviously I know it's probably the worst kept secret that he's been training with the club and he's pushing for a deal. And it looks like West Ham are going to likely take up that deal, and it will be confirmed just before the Manchester City game, apparently, coming out from WHU employee. Before we get into the draw again, let's go back to Lingard a little bit. What's your thoughts, Dan, first, on Jesse Lingard coming to the club?
So I've said this before. I have no issue with it if it's on a short-term deal on low wages, because I really do feel like he can just fill the void that's been left by Lanzini. Like that's just kind of how I look at it. I think it's kind of the perfect replacement. Like he's obviously in the latter part of his career now. He's 30 years of age, so he's probably that last. I don't know. Potentially, if he does well for a year, you might get an extension next year. But it's that last move, really, isn't it? Before. And look, if a report's to be believed that he has got his head down and he's stopped with the social media and he's worked really hard and he wants to join, then I think we'd be silly not to. And I know there's a lot of fans that don't want to give him another chance because he obviously went to Forest for the money and whatever last year. But I always say you've got to put yourself in the position of these players. You're going to earn more money elsewhere. You only get one career, and you've got to get in and get out, and you've got to make a life for yourself once you retire.
What do you think, Holly, in terms of the Jesse Lingard thing?
Yeah, there's no denying that he did a great job when he was with us. I know he hasn't had a good time since he's left us. And obviously it was a shame when he didn't want to re-sign, because I guess from fans' perspectives, people were saying that he had such a good time with us. He did so well. Like, why would you go elsewhere just for the money? But yeah, like Dan was saying there, footballers do naturally know that their years are limited and do have to look after themselves, I suppose, to some extent. For us, it's really hard to understand when you're like, but you're earning so much money anyway. Why would you need an extra however much? But it happens left, right and centre. And if you were offered a promotion or a massive pay rise to go elsewhere, it would be difficult to turn down, I suppose. But maybe he's realised that things were good at West Ham. It sounds like he has been working hard behind the scenes and that he's really keen to get his head down and work hard for us. I think I would definitely take him back at West Ham, but as you were saying as well, it's got to be on our terms. It needs to work at a price point that works for us and not on a really long-term deal, because we need to see if he is still the same player that he was when he was at West Ham. I know that lots of people have very different opinions on whether or not he should be given another chance, but I think that, again, he does fill that space and he would give us more squad depth, and that is something that we need. So it would also benefit us. Yeah, if he can do the same kind of job he did when he was last at West Ham, then I think he'd be a fantastic addition to the squad.
Well, it's the first time since he's been back training at West Ham that he's actually posted something inside the training ground. So not long ago, that's him inside the actual West Ham stadium, at the locker rooms as well. So he's obviously working hard, and you're hearing loads of stuff from the club saying that he is really starting to take up shape. I mean, David Moyes spoke about him in the embargoed section of the press conference last night and said, listen, he's not fully there yet, but he's definitely working his way to where we want him to be. So long may that continue. So the reports coming out today are saying that we're going to get that deal over the line before the Man City game. So for me, I think strength and depth is key, especially playing in Europe, and I don't think Jesse Lingard's done as a footballer. I genuinely don't believe that. I do believe that there's an element of confidence in him. And when someone believes in him, he will probably give you back the best. And I think that there's obviously something that he resonates when it comes to West Ham, and probably resonates when it's David Moyes. So David Moyes must have this kind of, I don't know, I could be judging it wrong here, but father-like figure to him that puts his arm around him, that goes, do you know what you produced for us and you knocked us back, I'm willing to let that go and move on and bring you back and prove to me that you want to be here. And I tell you what, the guy is not going to be shy of deals around world football. There will be deals on the table for Jesse Lingard to leave. And if he's knocking back those deals to come to West Ham, that's a very good situation that West Ham can be in, because we're pulling the shots.
Yeah,
you've got to look at the situation as well, and it's like, how many games did Lanzini actually start last year? How many times did he come off the bench? And I just see that as a perfect replacement personally, because it's a similar position, and he ain't gonna start week in, week out in the Premier League. He ain't, because our midfield's too strong now. It's too strong. There's players that are in front of him. So if he does come in, he's going to come in on the understanding that he's going to be a squad player. So this is the thing. It's a different Lingard. I think the mentality is going to be different. And I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of fans out there that I think they're kind of bashing him just because of the decision he made last summer. But, as footballers, if they're offered these opportunities and money and, some people might, so it was money over this, but he might have been told by Forest that he was going to start every week and then it just didn't work out for him, so you just don't know, do you? But he's one of those, he's a luxury player. So he's never going to play in a team that's fighting relegation. He's just not, so it's a hard one. I think there's a lot more to it with a lot of these footballers than we see. And so I think you have to give him the benefit of the doubt sometimes. I just think it's the perfect squad.
Let me just address this comment for you, Tailor-Made Gaming. West Ham cannot draw Rangers in this current situation. So if anyone doesn't understand, take a look here in pot 1 on the left-hand side. Pot 1 means that all those teams in pot 1 cannot draw each other in this tournament. So West Ham can only take a team from pot 2, one from pot 2, one from pot 3, and one from pot 4. And also West Ham cannot draw Brighton because they play in the same domestic league as well. So in pot 2, West Ham can have all options of the teams. In pot 3, we can have all options except for Brighton. And in pot 4, we can have all options and one from each pot as well. So that would work out if you're a Greek team or a French team, you cannot, for example, pot 2 in Marseille could not pull out of the pot Toulouse because they play in the same domestic league. So they've got things for that draw that are taking place. So like you said, West Ham cannot get Rangers. I think essentially last night, at some point yesterday afternoon, Rangers were in pot 2, but due to the results last night, they've been pushed up into pot 1 as well. In terms of the 23-24 UEFA Europa League, following the introduction of the Conference League, the Europa League has become a more streamlined competition. The group stage has been contested by 32 clubs rather than 48. Dan, smaller competition, better?
Yeah. Why not?
Holly?
I agree.
sorry, just to jump in. They're going to be gigantic next year because it's one big group, isn't it? The rules will change next year. It's mad. I mean, like top 8 qualifying, then there's like a big playoff thing, and no one drops down anymore from next season. But I think there's something like 32 teams, isn't there, competing next year? So, I don't like the new format.
So just on that, for anyone that doesn't understand, this year is the last year that teams will drop down from the competition above. So 8 clubs will drop into the Europa League from the Champions League in the knockout playoff round that follows the group stage, having finished third in the Champions League groups. So that will take on the 8 runners-up from the Europa League group stage for a place in the round of 16. So if you finish top of the Europa League group stage, you automatically qualify for the round of 16. If you finish second, you enter into the playoffs with the runners-up, the third place team in the Champions League for a playoff position. So the incentive to qualify for the competition outright by winning the group is there. You go straight into the round of 16. That is a massive incentive for all the clubs. So rewinding slightly, that's how West Ham qualified for the last 2 European tournaments, by going ahead and winning the group. And that is a big incentive for any team in there as well. So as we know, the initial 32 group stage teams will be comprised of West Ham as the champions, plus 11 other automatic qualifiers from England, Spain, France, Germany, Italy, and Portugal. And then they're joined by 10 winners from the Europa League playoff rounds, 6 teams that were eliminated from the Champions League playoff round, and 4 eliminated from the Champions League third qualifying round as well. And we've done it already. We've shown you there's 4 pots. Let's see how I can put this back up here. There you go. 4 pots that are drawn with it. So we've got the 8 group winners qualifying directly from the round of 16, and they will be played either at 5:45 p.m. kickoff or an 8 p.m. kickoff in the UK each week, which each club playing home 3 times as well. And as mentioned, the 8 group stage runners-up will contest a preliminary knockout round in ties against the 8 clubs who finished third in the UEFA Champions League groups for the right to join them. And the 16 remaining teams will then gradually whittle down to 2 who will contest the final in Dublin this year. In Dublin. Yes. So get booking. Get on your Ryanair flights.
I've been chatting to people this morning on Twitter. So many people have already got flights, trips, family that live out there.
It makes so much sense to do it now because
What a trip.
What was it like?
Oh,
Me and Ant were sat there trying to get out to the final, and it was just a nightmare.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was so glad for the final that we booked it really early. We didn't book the flights until about 10 minutes before we knew. But we worked out the least travelled by routes and basically were ready to hit book on that. So it didn't go up as quickly as all the ones from London and stuff. So we ended up going from, I can't even remember where we went from now. Birmingham. We went from Birmingham.
That's right, you did. Yeah, because you had West Ham fans with you as well, didn't you?
Yeah. I didn't know how many I was going to spot. And I was like, oh, okay, we're everywhere. But we had the hotel booked on booking.com, refundable deposit for, I think, about 4, 5, 6 months. But so glad that we did, because I knew it would be difficult when we obviously got through, but I didn't anticipate just how difficult it would be to find any way out there. I thought that by going from Birmingham that we were sort of putting in a bit of extra effort. And then I started chatting to people about the journeys that they were taking from, like, I think it was like America to, someone flew to Ireland and then went to like the south of England and then London, Germany, hired a car, like the routes that people took to get to these things.
So we
sometimes I, when I was looking at potentially my route, and to be honest, I would have done it, but
we were going to fly to Austria and then get the train, weren't we?
Yeah, I think and then coming back, I think it was through some Greek, somewhere in Greece or something like that, and then there was another one to Copenhagen. The things you we never done it. I never done it in the end, obviously, but the plan is to try and get to a couple of away.
Yeah, I've got a mate that lives in Dublin, so it might just be a case, and he's West Ham fan, so it might just be a case.
Well, my little mammy is Irish, so I've got a lot of family in Ireland, so I'm quite lucky in those terms as well. So fingers crossed we can actually do it. Get into the final this year. When will the group stage take place? The draw for this group stages is going to be held in Monaco, so I fully expect none other than Mark Noble to be sitting prompt in his nice tie and his nice suit sitting there in Monaco, and it's going to be from midday today, so we're literally about 18-19 minutes away from the game. The fixtures will be confirmed after the draw as well, and it will be streamed online, and we'll be going to be doing some obviously draws, so we're going to have Russ in the background doing all the fancy work for us here as well. And as we have stated already, West Ham are going to be seeded in pot 1 alongside 7 of the other clubs with the highest club coefficients. So we can't draw Brighton nor Liverpool in the group stage, but Liverpool do have probably one of the highest coefficients, but because we won the Europa Conference League, we go in as number 1 on that as well. So we've already spoke to you about some of the group stages. So I'm going to ask everyone in the chat to give me your kind of favourite option. So give me the 3 teams you would like West Ham to choose. I'll put them up on the screen for you again. So just if you're in the chat, put them in and let us know your thoughts on who you would like West Ham to get, and maybe who you'd like us to get or who you think we should get, all that sort of stuff, and we'll go through them in the comments. The group stages will be held on match day 1, will be the 21st of September. So we are only 20 days away from match day 1 in the Europa League. Then the 5th of October, 26th of October, 9th of November, 30th of November, and the 14th of December. Then we'll know if West Ham are making it through the group stages as well. But we're not far away from it. So let's have a look and see what the comments are saying. Ballon Dawson is saying another year for European football. I hate this. Bring back Avram. Moyes out. Oh, the banter. Alf's in the house.
We were talking about Avram, weren't we, the other day? Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So I think it was because Jack had Carlton Cole on his Happy podcast, and Carlton Cole was talking about a time where he went into the room and Avram Grant was sitting there sleeping. But to be fair,
they'd been out on the training pitch for 2 hours and they were like, "Where's the boss?" And then they went up and he was asleep, weren't they?
Yeah. To be fair though, I remember going to Liverpool away once. We got beat 4-0, which seems like a regular feature back then. And I think Avram Grant was sleeping on the touchline, to be honest, because it was awful. It was honestly awful. And that's interesting because that particular year, West Ham won every single preseason game and then got relegated. So the false sense of hope appeared at West Ham. So that's why that particular year taught me that preseason is for one reason and one reason only, and not to get massively carried away about it. Definitely not. Alf's in the house. Good to see you, my friend. Hopefully we'll get you back on really soon. Lask, Sheriff and Limassol. That'll do nicely for you. All the good teams are in pot 1. Why is that? Because they're all the good teams. Probably what you've said out of 10. Within reason, it's all the teams that have had the best coefficient score over the last couple of years. So on paper, that's what they do. It doesn't necessarily mean they are actually definitely going to be the best teams, because some of them are going to get knocked out. Teams should never have been allowed to drop down. Once you're out, you are out. What do you think of that then, Holly? Do you agree with that? And I'll be back in 1 second. I'm just grabbing a drink. I'll be back in 1 second.
It's difficult because I think being in the lower one, obviously it's going to be difficult having teams drop down. So it would be easier potentially to not have them drop down. I don't really know. What do you reckon, Dan? Would you rather?
I don't know. It's always been that way.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. I've been watching football so long; it's kind of always been that way. But yeah, it is. I don't know. It is a cheap way out, though, isn't it? Because if you finish third, they're like, well, we've still got European football for however long the next competition lasts. I guess. And you've not really. Have they really earned the right to be there as well? Because you failed in the group that you were in a competition that is seen as better.
Yeah, and with the teams that should be around the same sort of talent level as you. So if you get knocked out, technically, if I was to redesign it all, if you get knocked out, I think you would just be out. But it is also nice being able to play against these big teams as well, because like we've been saying throughout like the whole of this conversation, really, it's nice being able to face these big teams. It would be boring if you just got the easy route and like everything was a given. It's nice being able to have these big away days. And I think I saw someone saying about for Newcastle, like Mbappe versus Dan Burn, like who'd have thought those matchups? And that's the kind of thing that you do get when these big teams do obviously drop down as well. So yeah, I think it adds a bit of excitement, doesn't it? But never known any different. So
it's just nice to see how you could test yourself against these teams as well. You know, we've been saying it. We've had a good window. The squad's looking really good. You know, from sort of 1 to 11 and the subs and whatnot. So yeah, it's just nice to test yourself. Obviously, they completely change the way these competitions work next year. So there's no more of that. I don't know how I feel about the new. Have you seen how it's going to work next year?
No, so I haven't actually seen it in that much detail. How does it work?
So essentially, I think the groups are like 32 teams. It's just one big group, 32 teams. You get 8 fixtures, so you get to play 8 games. And then if you finish top 8, then you qualify straight away. And then if you qualify, I think it's from 9th to where it is. I can't remember exactly where it is, but it's between 9th and another position. They go into a playoff.
Okay.
And then obviously it's round of 16 and so on. So yeah, it's completely changed.
Interesting.
But like the whole fixtures, you know, you could end up drawing 8 relatively easy games, or you could have 8 that are just going to be carnage for you, you know. So because the caliber of teams that are going to be in the Champions League are going to be slightly better, because they're going to have to change things. I think like even with the Prem, potentially 5th place could qualify for the Champions League.
Okay.
Yeah, because of there's 2 teams that are going to get in based on coefficient.
Yeah.
So like there's a chance. There is a chance.
There is a chance.
And obviously if you win the Europa, then you go up as well. So you'd be in the Champions League. So there could be like 6 English teams in the Champions League next year.
Yeah. Blimey. It's going to be interesting to see how that new format works.
Yeah. Huge incentive. So going back before we do get into the draw, what's been your favourite I'm going to take away the final. I'm going to take away the final. And I'm going to take away... I'm definitely going to take away the final, because we all know the favourite's the final. So out with that, what's been your second favourite European tie we've been involved in over the last 2 seasons?
Oh, Sevilla at home in the Europa League.
The atmosphere.
Because the atmosphere was just mad. But Sevilla are like the team to beat in that competition. Like they've won it more than any other team, and they're like the team to beat, and we did it. And they had a good team. It weren't like a bad Sevilla team either. It's a very good team, and we won that. And it was that's probably up there for me. And the other one I really like, and I'll let Holly say first.
Yeah, go for it.
There is one other I really like.
Do you know what?
I know one you're going to say though, Dan, but I'll come back to that.
It is so difficult. Like I think because we had obviously there was like the 1-0 against Silkeborg. Like there's been so many different just moments where I like them for different reasons. One's where we've ground out results. One's where we've battered the other team. Anderlecht was one that I was really worried about. and then we actually went and did a really good job. So I genuinely can't even pick just one, but the whole journey of every single game that we went to just has such a different feeling as well, because I feel like hope was just growing and growing. And in the back of your head, you're always like, oh, but can West Ham actually do this? And we just kept pulling results out. Baffling as well to go unbeaten, and yeah, just an unbelievable journey.
So I would have probably agreed with you, Dan, on the Sevilla game, but the one that really sunk in and went, oh shit, is this one? Is Leon away?
Yeah.
That was unbelievable. I mean, that was the one where I was like, probably, I'm trying to remember back. I think I was in tears after that game, because I went, oh, we've arrived. Like, what are we doing? Like no way. Like, especially after the Creswell sending off in the first leg at home, all that sort of stuff. Like, everything didn't feel like it was going to go our way, and then suddenly you turn up and you do a job, and then you've got the belly wink and all that sort of stuff. Like, that was just phenomenal.
Yeah, especially because when it was 1-1 and we'd had a sending off, and you were like, here we go, like, this is where we're going to slip up. But to then just come back in such convincing fashion and batter them 3-0, wasn't it? Just unbelievable. Yeah. It felt like not only had we just like, I was almost hoping at that point, hopefully we can scrape through in the second leg. And we went and just did the business. And I was like, wow, fair play.
And do you know what as well? It was probably a Moyes ball. It was counter-attacking football at its best. And I love it. Like, I really like counter-attacking football. Like, I'm one of them. Like, I think there's something very beautiful about going from A to B as quickly as possible, like in football, and sticking the ball in the back of the net. I remember Bowen just being like electric that night.
Yes.
Dawson scored, didn't he, from a corner?
Yeah.
That was the first goal.
Bowen.
Yeah, Bowen, and I can't remember who scored the other one.
Here's another good question for you before the draw happens as well. What was the moment in the European tournaments that could have been? There you go. So I'll give you my one. The Bowen overhead kick against Frankfurt at home.
Oh, yeah, it's got to be that. 100%.
I feel like when I watched that live, it was like it was in slow motion, even though it wasn't. But if that had gone in, that would have been ridiculous.
Yeah.
Would have been ridiculous. Unreal.
Do you know what? It was one of those moments as well where it would have just been written in the stars. Like, scoring a goal like that at a time where it mattered so much would have been unbelievable. But I wasn't even angry that it didn't go in, because I was just like, what a try. It was so close to being
last
perfect.
minute, like, oh my God, like, just would have been perfect. What were you, Dan?
Heartbreaking.
It's got to be the Creswell, though, isn't it? If he didn't get the red card.
Yeah, things would have been different.
Because the thing is with that one, it happened so early in the game. Yeah. If it happens later in the game and it's still, he's still kind of deadlocked, it's a bit different. But yeah, it was so early, and it was like, how would we have actually dealt with them had we had 11 men the whole game?
Yeah. It just killed hope, didn't it?
Because the atmosphere there was electric as well. Like, it was rocking in there. Like, I just feel like teams across Europe just do it different to us. I feel like there's too much. There's too much health and safety put in place in the UK. We can't. There's certain things we can't get away with. It just. I sit there quite often and think, what if? How would we have dealt with them if we'd have had 11 men?
Because we never really even got to see how we wanted to play that game, did we? That was the problem with it. It just changed everything from that moment onwards. I bet Cresswell regretted a lot of things about that.
It's a player that should know better and all, like a seasoned pro, and it was just one of them.
It was so stupid. What can you do?
Just a little bit more context behind the Andy Irving signing. Apparently, just for 23 years old, he's been the best performing Austrian midfielder, 5 goals and 5 assists and 10 apps. So that's what we're hearing. And it looks like it is pretty much a done deal. So it's just a case of waiting for that one to be announced officially by the club. So very interesting, very odd.
I'm intrigued. I want to know what we've seen. I want to know who made this decision. I want to know what he brings, because we must have seen something that we're like.
Is it a Timmy special?
Yeah. Tim Snyton does know everything. So
maybe he got a connecting flight back from Brazil to Austria, and maybe had a translator of David Moyes and Boss, Bob's your uncle. Are we favourites to win the cup this year? We should be from Will. Dan?
Liverpool be favourites.
Yeah.
For me, if you're looking at those teams, Liverpool like they're the biggest club in there. They'll be favourites, I reckon.
I think Liverpool would be very difficult for teams to beat.
Yeah.
Could you imagine, quarterfinals, West Ham, Liverpool, Europe? Like, could you imagine? Oh my days. Oh
West
If
Ham
my
Salah
Brighton.
leaves, it might be a bit nice.
West Ham Brighton final.
God, could you imagine?
Can you imagine? I think I'd rather face Liverpool.
It would be West Ham
Oh,
Rangers quarterfinal, West Ham Liverpool semi-final, West Ham Brighton final. Could you imagine that?
Oh.
At least it'd be easy trips for us all. Does David Moyes deserve an accolade of being our best ever manager, being in Europe for 3 consecutive seasons? That is an amazing achievement.
Yeah.
Over to you,
I saw
Holly.
some stats as well where when you actually look at what he's achieved, like statistically, he's now up there as well. I think he's brought us actually more success than any other manager has on an ongoing basis. But I think the frustrations that there've been around the way that he does it and the things that he's done in terms of just like the uninspiring gameplay and having a bad season last season, I think it's just put sort of a downer on that. I think if we'd have done well last season, I think that was a real turning point where people started to doubt what his long-term plans were and how he was going to bring us out of that mess. If you look at the stats on paper, Moyes has done an absolutely unbelievable job for us. And I don't think you can take that away from him. But I know it is easy as well on social media to get caught up in the sort of the anger and the frustrations. And it does sort of dim your opinion of him. So it's really hard to say, but statistically, he is up there and he's brought us a hell of a lot of success that I never thought I'd see at West Ham, especially on a continuous basis. So
Dan, before we come to you though, Dan, if you haven't, right, and about half an hour ago, nobody know who Andy Irving was, just go on and search for his highlight reel because it is quite exciting. I don't know if these highlight reels can make someone look absolutely through the roof, but the 2 little snippets I've seen of this geezer, I'm like, oh my God, he's pretty decent. But that is also something that can be quite frightening because, you don't always believe everything you say. Anyway, sorry, Dan, over to you, mate.
Yeah, I'm one of the I'm a bit boring when this sort of stuff comes up because I don't like this whole like best ever, greatest of all time because I just feel like there's too many things you have to consider. I think as time goes on, he will be considered to be one of the better managers we've had. I have been very vocal on the things I don't like about Moyes, but I'm very quick to eat humble pie when he gets things right. And when he, like Chelsea, for instance, I thought we were brilliant. I thought it was perfect, a perfect tactical display against Brighton. And so I'm very quick to, praise it when he gets it right. It's just, I think a lot of the fan base is not so much. I think it's how he goes about it. It's how we play the game. It's how we look. It is a bit the football is a bit turgid or whatever. But if you like Holly said, if you're looking at the stats, you're looking at statistics, he's got the best win ratio of any manager, for the club now. So all these things do have to be taken into consideration. But I do think as time goes on, I think he will be appreciated more as time goes on, especially like when the day comes when he eventually isn't West Ham manager anymore, and then the next guy comes in. That's when I think that people will appreciate just what he gave us, because that next manager he's going to have a lot to live up to. This is, and I think this is something the fan base hasn't considered as well. Even myself, who has been very sort of anti-Moyes at times last season, that next manager, he's got to follow 3 years in a row European football. Top half finishes, winning a cup. That's a lot to kind of have to try and match and live up to. So, and that. They need to be helped by the people in charge of the football club going forward and whatever. But I just feel like Moyes is the one thing I do have to commend Moyes for is he's done it at a time where this club has been under this ownership for a long time. They're not the easiest owners to work with, but Moyes makes it work. Like I do think he has to be commended for that.
Yeah. And we're finally getting a structure in place as well with like Stuyton, where I think he is actually getting the support to now bring in the players that will work under whatever system it is that he wants to put in. And when I was chatting to people at the final, funnily enough, so obviously I chat with people a lot on Twitter, and as the Premier League season went on last season, there were very, very few people that still wanted Moyes to stay. And then when I was chatting to people after the final, so many people were saying sort of hats off, he's brought us something that we didn't think we'd see. And now would be the perfect time for him to leave on a high, and that you can't really slate him. But most people also saying if he now stays next season, I can see why, because he deserves to be given a little bit more time. But then obviously we had the transfer window in the start of it where it looked like nothing was happening. And if anything, we had a worse squad. I think that was another turning point where people's opinions started changing to, we've got to change something. So let's get Moyes out. And now we've obviously brought good signings in, and we've got results for the first few games of the season. And it does change. So I know it's so turbulent with football, whether people think that someone's the right answer or not. And it can be difficult because where you look at like the best players and the stats, sometimes perhaps you'd give a manager a lot longer in charge when their form has completely dropped off, because you look at the course of 3 or 4 years and you say, but they've done this for us and they've done that for us. And is that the best in football? I don't really know, because I think if like a dressing room has been lost by a manager, for example, they could have won the Premier League 3 seasons in a row, but that 4th season is going to be an absolute shocker. So it's kind of difficult looking at form over the course of many years and using that to decide whether someone should stay a lot longer. But currently, it looks like it's going really well. We've got really good form for the start of the season. So I can't really find any argument that Moyes shouldn't be in charge at the moment for
I was one of them who, you know, when he won the trophy, I was like, this is the perfect time for him to go, you know, because otherwise he could damage his legacy. That was more that I cared more about him and his legacy than I did about like who was the next manager and stuff. It was just kind of like, because I've looked at the league form and I thought, God, if we go into next season like this, like he might be in charge 10 games and then that's it. And everyone will hate him and his legacy's done. And you don't want that for a manager who's managed over 1,000 games. Like, he's literally given his life to football. You don't want that for him.
Yeah.
Just want to let you know that I've just seen Mark Noble. So the draw is about to get ready now. So Mark Noble's there, as suave as you like, up front and centre. So we are getting ready for the draw. So we'll have everything lined up for you in the background. That will all get updated as we're going through it. So I've been seeing loads of stuff now about I've seen like the Conference League intro. They're doing the draw as well, and West Ham is front line and centre of that video. So that's really, it's quite nice to see. Yeah. So it's definitely exciting times. Listen, I'm not going to lie to you, right? I'm a little bit hyper. I get a little bit of a buzz on the go when these situations happen. I've got a little bit of goosebumps. If I could really show you them up close and personal, I would. But I'm getting the goosebumps now because they're showing the kind of intro video to the Europa League. It's European football's back. You know, are you buzzing? Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it? It is.
Yeah, and I think now we know that we can actually do something in these competitions. It's not like we're lucky to be here, but we have high hopes and expectations, and we really want to compete and leave our mark in this competition. And it makes it so exciting because we've all got so much hope, and it's just lovely to be able to follow something more than the Premier League. Like Dan was saying earlier, you do want to win things. And are West Ham going to win the Premier League? Realistically, no, not unless a lot of things change. This is something that we can compete in. We can get these away days. We can play against these amazing teams. We can pull these incredible performances out of the bag, and we actually have the chance of winning trophies. And that is what football is all about, the good times and the bad times. And you can get a lot of good times through things like European football. So
yeah, don't you worry, Peter. I will not show you my goosebumps because you're about to have your lunch. Don't you worry, mate. I will not do that. Mikey's in the house. Listen, Mikey, you are part of our European journey. So for anyone that doesn't know, Mikey came on our stream as an opposition guest, as a fan of Belgium side Ghent. Mikey, you're gonna hate me for saying this, mate. Uh-oh. Who was it we played? The first season.
Stick to it.
It was Genk, wasn't it? 50-50. Mikey, please. I really feel bad because you've adopted West Ham, and I love it. And we played Anderlecht,
Genk,
and Mikey Genk, yeah, and
Genk.
Genk, yeah. Sorry. I love you. I do love you, Mikey. I do love you. And he went into his work, and he put on a West Ham top when West Ham were about to play Anderlecht, and he was because I think some of his workmates were all fans as well, and he's adopted West Ham as his club. So it's an amazing thing. You know what? This European venture in terms of even like doing what we do here has been amazing because we've met so many cool, amazing fans from all over the world as well. And you know, at the end of the day, they shake hands and respect each other. And that's what it does, and that's how you meet people like Mikey. So thank you again. There you go. Love you all back. Yeah, so it's really nice. It's home and away. They will reveal it in the coming days. I read it on Wikipedia. What's this here? I don't know what this is. I'm trying to see what it is. So people are just saying here, Corky is saying, just in context, I'm very much David Moyes out. The football is hard to watch, and he's very stubborn, but his record does stand up. Thunder and Joy says Everton fans wanted him gone back in the day. Ask the same fans if they want him back now. Well, yeah. I think they do dramatically.
That's the thing, isn't it? Like, football is so fickle and so results based that a few games can literally change your opinion of a manager, of the way they're playing. And every manager's got their own idea of how they want to play and how they're going to win things based on that. And Moyes clearly has his, and it might not always be the most exciting. But then I'm saying that, watching with absolutely no idea how I would manage a team. And like the amount of times where I've said, oh, I'll bring this player on or bring that player on. And it would have been a shocking idea if we'd done that. So
the thing is that people have forgotten is like lockdown ball and the season following, we were a counter-attacking team. Yeah. That's basically what we're doing again this season. Yeah. And everyone loved it when we were doing it before. So I don't really get why people are like on the case. Like, don't get me wrong. I say it all the time. I would love us to play a more expansive, attractive brand of football, right? But 60% possession doesn't always win you games. Like we had 22% possession against Brighton. We won 3-1. Like it's not the be all and end all sometimes. Like give me counter-attacking football every day of the week over, you know, watching us just pass it around at the back. You know, just there I am. And, you know, I've been very Moyes out, you know, at times, but I think like even I've had to grow to appreciate just how much stability he's given our football club and just how much he's restructured the club as well. Like the scouting network and Tim Stein and all this stuff is because Moyes wanted it. This isn't just the board, you know. Moyes was one of the first ones to go in and go, "What do you mean we ain't got a scouting network? How am I supposed to like find players?" Like so, you know. And I was going to make a point as well, like. I kind of said to Ant recently with the whole like transfer window thing when a lot of us were getting on Moyes back. I've got a different theory on the window now. Like I've got a theory that like Moyes, there was targets Moyes wanted and Steiden tried, but he went back to Moyes and was like, they're just too expensive. And like we really need to make this money go far. And then as a result, then Moyes went, okay, you tried for me. Now go and get me like the players that we need. And then he's just kind of let him do what he needs to do. So I don't feel like there's any friction between them. I just think Moyes wanted what he wanted first. We tried, it didn't happen, but he's gone and got him, you know, players that he's going to use and he's going to, you know, make work going forward.
You'd hope that they would both have their own ideas coming into the transfer window anyway. That you would hope that Moyes had been eyeing up players of people that he thought might fit well, and Steiten would also come with his own ideas. So it was always going to take a bit of time for them to work out what was doable, what was best. And it sounds like they are now sort of singing off the same page and like doing well together. And I don't know if you'll agree as well, but in terms of the counter-attacking football against Brighton, I was shocked by the stats of the lack of possession because it was so exciting. I wasn't sitting there like we've had some games where we've had 50-60% possession, but we can't really string passes together. It's not inspiring. We can't get the ball anywhere near the box. And you're sat there like, oh, come on, like let's fix something. Whereas with the Brighton game, I was surprised to see the lack of possession because although I knew we didn't have loads and loads of the ball, what we were doing with it was so exciting. That's a really cute dog.
Just seen your dog.
He's a nightmare.
Is that Rollo?
Wants to
is that Rollo, Dan?
Come out. His headphones have been pulled out by the dog. Mauled.
Is that Rollo?
Yeah.
Rollo wants to have his say on.
Honestly, don't get sausage dog, people. They're just so needy.
I'm not going to tell Freddie that because that's his. Holly's next to me. That's Freddie's kind of main choice.
They're great. They're great. Don't get me wrong. He's got a lovely temperament and stuff, mate, but they're just so needy.
Yep. Right, we're literally not far away now from the draw taking place. It's in Monaco, but it's presented from Alex Scott. You'll know her from her Arsenal footballing days, England footballing days, and obviously she's all over mainstream media as well. And what's that reporter's name? It's really annoying me that's doing it. He's famous news reporter. I can't remember his name as well. So he's on there. So they're just interviewing one of the people that are going to be pulling the balls from the bucket to go through the draw for the Europa League. But it's definitely exciting. Dan, just choose a team from pot 2. Go for it, mate. Who do you want? Pot 2.
I'll have Betis, just for the old Pellegrini link up.
Do you know what? I tried to be a little bit different, but no, I'm going to go for Betis as well. I'll take them. Right, pot 3, go.
I'll have Freiburg, trip to Germany.
I'll take Molde. And then in pot 4,
Toulouse.
Athens. Give me a little bit of cheeky Athens.
A bit of a yo-yo team, aren't they, Toulouse?
Yep, absolutely. So we're just going to get O'Shea. Jonathan O'Shea is going to be the next person coming up to do the draw in the Europa League. John O'Shea, sorry, not Jonathan O'Shea, I said. So we're just hopefully getting closer to the draw being made. Let me jump through the comments here. Winning is exciting, nothing else. What's exciting about playing well and losing? A very West Ham thing from Jilly. True. Clearly, Tim is our best signing.
Yep.
You might. Where is it? I did have it. It's gone. Give me 2 seconds. I've got one for you all in terms of Tim Steiden. Got a little cheeky image for you. That's working again. That's good. Just bear with us because we're going to get ready for the draw. So just bear with us as we're getting ourselves prepared. Where is it gone? Is it gone? No, it's not. There it is there. Dan,
where are you watching the draw? Just so that we are.
I am on the UEFA.
What, the YouTube channel?
No, the website. UEFA website.
Oh, okay.
We will. Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, Ollie. So they usually say when Tim goes and gets a deal, they always say Tim at the back post. So this is a little mock-up they've got there.
What an image.
Oh, the things you love to see. Let's have a look here. It says they should have a database of players. Where's the comments gone? West Ham United made a surprise move for Divock Origi in the final hours of the transfer window. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a name that pops up, especially if he moves and gets himself over to the UK. We've been linked to him before, so if there's former conversations take place. The one thing I will say is what I've learned about this transfer window, and as much as I do believe all the reputable reporters, ITKs, all that sort of stuff, but what you do, you just can't prepare for the world of unknowns. So, i.e., someone can turn around now and say that there's absolutely no chance of Origi's happening. Well, that doesn't mean it won't happen. That's the world of football. So definitely keep your eye on something like that.
He's apparently flown over to talk to Burnley and Nottingham Forest.
Yep. Right, we're getting really close to the draw. Drum rolls, please. It's not happening yet. They're just still doing their stuff.
There's always the build-up, isn't there, though, where they...
Yeah.
So it's like a tourism advert for whichever country it's in and stuff first.
Dale has said, with the cup draw, I'm a neutral, being a Leeds supporter, but just the same, good luck to Liverpool, Brighton and West Ham. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dale.
John says, I like people to have an opinion on football and what managers and players do. What I can't stand as a fan having a go about someone who carries themselves. That's personal. I don't like that. Yep. John O'Shea is ball picking. Lask, Molde and Toulouse. That's fine for me from Danny. Peter Chelmsford, Marseille from pot 2, Union SG from pot 3 and Toulouse from pot 4. Old man Shaggy says Marseille, Sparta and Limassol. What are you going to say, Dan?
He wouldn't be able to have Marseille and Toulouse.
Yeah, good point. Good point, mate. That's an example of the countries that are playing in the same domestic league that can't get each other. In the stadium, yeah.
Can you imagine the nerves with actually doing the draw? Like, because they
I've got nerves watching it.
In the balls.
Did you see Joe Cole yesterday? So every
No.
time he opened the ball, he put it out here, and he kind of tucked his head in, and he was doing it like this because he wanted to make sure like he didn't drop anything.
But who was it? Was it Red Star Belgrade came out?
Yeah.
And they obviously pronounce it the way that they pronounce it in their country. And Joe Cole smirks and he's like, Red Star Belgrade. It's so funny. It's exactly what I would do. The Premier League's terrified Stidens on fire. I like that one. Final is in Dublin. Obviously, we know that. Anton gets more excited when opening a packet of Mars bars. I do know what I get excited. I get easily excited. Definitely. Do. Kudos to the world. Liverpool have Mo and West Ham have their own version of Mo.
I'm excited to see what Kudus can do for us. Really, really excited.
Well, I think I would really be surprised if we didn't see him tonight, to be honest. I think he's going to go right in. What do you think, Dan? Holly, go for it.
Oof. I reckon he'll come on as a sub just because I think, I just feel like that's more likely to happen. Probably with Benny start. I don't know. I really don't know if we're going to try and play him on the left. Because like we we're saying, I've looked at where he's played and he's literally never played on the left. He's always been central right or as a striker. So it might have been a discussion that we've had with him and he's fine with trying to play on the left, but he's also left footed. So I don't think he's going to be able to score much. He might get some amazing assists from the left. I just don't know what we'd do or who we'd start him ahead of. I'm so conflicted with this. What are you both thinking?
Yeah, no, I actually agree. Yeah, I agree. I did kind of say when we were heavily linked with him that maybe he'll come in and play on that left-hand side. But the more I've watched and the more I think about it, he seems a lot better cutting in from the right-hand side. I've seen a couple of goals he's scored from the left. He's gone across the keeper. He's clearly got an eye for goal, like very, very good player. But
yeah,
I kind of got a feeling we're going to go as we were because Moyes rarely changes a winning team. I just don't think Souček's available through the concussion protocol. But other than that,
do you think if we're going as we are, then with a Gerd back, he doesn't feature?
I think he might go with Oggy. I genuinely think he might go with Oggy, just because Moyes rarely changes a winning team.
Yeah, and there's a good argument for it. I mean, it really worked against Brighton. I think the difference is we kind of need to set up quite differently in that hopefully we will actually have more of a possession-based game against Luton. And I don't know how we do that a bit differently with possession because it'll be, obviously we can still play on the counter, but we haven't seen us have a lot of possession in a while. So I wonder how we'll cope.
I've got a theory though. I think
Leicester City is that Daka is in talks with AC Milan. I mean, I like Daka. He's in talks with AC Milan of a loan move. So Daka and Iheanacho look like they could be heading out of Leicester City. Full turnaround for them since they've been relegated. Right, sorry, Dan, on you go, mate.
What was I going to say? Yeah, I've got a theory that I think Kudus might play as a false nine anyway. I think he might play up top. I've just got a feeling he might play as a striker. But
this is get the goals.
That's an interesting point. We spoke about this in the transfer show before the Europa League show, which is there may be players at the hotel now that will be sold tonight. It's madness. It is actually madness.
Yeah, it is.
And it looks like Everton are really going to try and push for a couple of players from West Ham.
Right, here we go. I'm a bit gutted about Cornet, but I get it.
Yeah, same. I understand why he'd go, but I had high hopes.
Right.
It's the beginning.
Buzz in, let's do this. Right, we're just going through the final pots now, so we're going to get the screen up, hopefully. Here we go. Do we add that in? Yeah, we do. Here we go. Here we go. I'm turning the comments. I'm not going to look at the comments. First ball out of the pot. You ready for this one, everyone?
It's time.
Who's out first?
We were talking about the balls, weren't we?
He's dropped the ball. He's dropped the ball. It's West Ham. West Ham is first out.
Oh.
We go into Group A.
Okay.
West Ham go into Group A. Look at that updated. Look at that updated.
That's rapid. Go on, Russ.
So I think this is us drawing all pot 1, I believe.
Interesting.
Ajax.
Okay, yeah, it's pot 1 they're going through.
So not Ajaz.
Who are Ajax? I've only ever heard of Ajaz.
So Ajax go into Group B.
Nice. Isn't it nice that West Ham are up with these big names?
Look at that.
Look at that.
Next up is Rangers.
Love it.
Rangers go into Group C. We could have initially got them because they were originally in pot 2 yesterday, but they got pumped up to Group pot 1. So now we can't face them.
Okay.
Group D is Liverpool.
Nice.
So strong history in European football. Actually, they go into Group E. Sorry, no, they went to Group D. They go into Group E. Liverpool do.
Do you know why that would be, that they've missed out Group D?
I don't know why they've done that. I don't know if it's maybe Villarreal come out next. I'm trying to have a look at it and say maybe they don't want clubs in Britain to play. I don't know. Maybe it's that, like the same time or same week. I don't know. Wouldn't make sense though because they're all far apart. So
yeah, and like Villarreal have gone into F, so they haven't even taken that place yet.
Yeah. So Villarreal into F. Atalanta, Scamacca, obviously moving across to Atalanta earlier in the summer transfer window. They go into Group D.
Nice. 2 remaining.
That must have something to do with like the first round of 16, maybe.
Yeah.
Roma.
And who can play who?
Roma are next out.
Oh, is that
They
Group
go
G?
in Group G.
Nice. Can't believe we got pulled up. Perfect. All right, who's joining us in Group A? That's the big question.
Oh, this is the one now. This is where we're going to get nitty gritty.
The one we need. Who are we hoping for? Who are we not hoping for?
I don't know anyone. I said at the start, bigger they come, the harder they fall.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really matter. Just do it. Go for it.
All exciting in different ways.
Pot 2 now, so they're drawing out just pot 2.
Okay.
So this is going to be Sporting. Oh, I've had them all teams there.
I've got it. Sporting, Rennes, Real Betis, Marseille, Slavia Prague, Olympiacos, Lask, and Qarabag. Oh.
Is this going into Group A?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't know. Does it?
Assume so.
Yeah, it will do.
Olympiacos.
Okay. Nice. Take that.
They go in with West Ham. So a little cheeky trip to Greece.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's
a good
one.
Because Olympiacos owner is Nottingham Forest owner as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought that was. No, is he not Fenerbahce?
Yeah, pretty sure he's Forest owner, isn't he?
So Olympiacos have got a capacity stadium of 33,000 seats stadium. Currently first in the Super League in Greece as well. So Olympiacos. Marseille go into Group B.
Nice. Olympiacos as well. Ajax. They've played 2 games so far. They've scored 6 goals and conceded 0. So solid start to the season for Olympiacos.
Absolutely.
We can take them.
So next up, we've got Real Betis with Pellegrini.
Lovely.
I believe they will go into Group C.
Nice. Who in the comments thinks they'll travel out to Olympiacos? Seen someone there saying trip to Athens would be booked. Nice.
They're saying Group B is the group of death.
It looks that
Sporting-
so far.
I tell you what, though, I mean, West Ham and Olympiacos, it's tasty, tasty.
Yeah.
So is Rangers, Real Betis as well. They're all really kind of tasty bits of business.
Sporting in with
Atalanta,
Atalanta.
yeah. Group B.
None of them are going to be easy, are they? It's going to be fun for
No,
everyone.
if you're looking at it already, like the calibre of teams is very, very good for this competition.
Yeah. It's that step up. It's going to be fun.
Lask from Austria. They go into Group E with Liverpool.
They're loving it. Look at them. Look. That's what you want, though.
Who's next out? Stade Rennes.
Dino will lead us into his homeland.
We avoided them at least.
So, I mean, you look at the history of Olympiacos, I mean, the honours they've got are ridiculous honours, obviously, from the whole, they're dominating Greek football really for generations, to be honest.
Yeah.
In competition, in European competition, they've got to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. They got to the that was in 98-99 season. They got to the Cup Winners' Cup quarterfinals in the 92-93 season, and they won the Balkans Cup in 1963. So Roma have got Slavia Prague, I believe. Yep, they have.
Yeah.
Group G.
Serious names in this. Who've Bayer Leverkusen got?
Karabag
Okay.
from Azerbaijan. They go into Group H with Bayer Leverkusen.
Time for pot 3. Who's joining us?
Here we go. Let's go. Pot 3. Where are we going next? I tell you what, West Ham Group A, tasty. Group B, tasty. Group C, tasty so far. Group D, Group F.
Tell you what,
Yeah.
F is a hard group as well.
Yeah. I wonder if we'll get any shock results in some of these as well. I'd love to see like some of the big names get knocked out quite early.
Yeah,
We've got Molde, Brighton and Hove Albion, Sheriff.
Let's find out where Brighton
Union
go.
Saint. Yeah, let's see where Brighton go. So this should, if this is Brighton, they can't go into pot A, Group A.
Yes.
So anyone bar Brighton and a Greek team.
Got it.
Let's have a look and see who this is. Freiburg from Germany going to Group A. Little cheeky German group. There you go, Dan.
Love Germany.
Good so far.
Germany. Let's have a look.
That'll be tough though. That will be tough.
Currently
German football.
35,000 seater stadium. They have a stadium called the Europa Park. Brighton out next.
Oh, who've they got?
Group B.
Oh, that's a difficult one.
Wow.
Ooh,
Wow.
blimey. Wouldn't want to be in there.
Tell you what, Group A and Group B are tasty.
Yeah,
They are tasty.
really are. So Freiburg, they have played 2 games, 6 points. They have scored 3 goals and conceded 1. So they have started their season with 2 wins, nice and strong. If we look at last season, finished 5th last season.
Sparta Prague go in with Real Betis and Rangers. Again, I actually think the first 3 groups that have been pulled out, decent.
100%. Oh, there's going to be some interesting fixtures to watch in this.
March with Freiburg with the European Cup. The Union SG from Belgium head into Liverpool's group. I think Liverpool will be reasonably happy with this draw on paper.
Yeah. Just a bit.
With all due respect to their opposition, it looks like Liverpool are getting a extremely favourable draw.
Even though they might lose Salah and get knocked out nice and early.
Maccabi Haifa from Israel. They should go into Group D.
No, they've gone into F.
Oh, they've gone into F, actually, yeah.
Okay. Really interesting looking at the value of the Freiburg players. Trying to look, the most expensive ones, they've got a 20 million euro player. This is valued by Transfer Market, and 18 million. Other than that, 3.5 million, 12, 7.5, 4, loads of like £2 million players, which is interesting.
Yep, absolutely. Sturmgratz go into Group D with Sporting and Atalanta.
Cool.
Sheriff.
Sharif will be the one to watch in that group.
Yeah, I think they've got the potential. Absolutely.
Might as well humble Klopp and Mourinho. He's the one true wizard of tactics. That's what they call him.
What, Mourinho?
I think Leverkusen will be relatively happy with that group as well so far.
Yeah, Karabag and Mulder. Why bother making Liverpool play games? Peter said. You never know. Anything can happen in these competitions, though. That is the beauty of it. Not saying it's going to be easy for the others, but I'd love to see a bit of a shock result. Who have we got? Who is joining us in Group A?
So we can't get Panathinaikos.
Okay. Is that because
they're Greek, the other Greek team.
Got it. I'm happy with the draw so far.
Yeah, really good, yeah. Although I said to you I want big. The bigger they come, the harder they fall. And then I look at Liverpool's script and I'm like, oh, that'd have been all right.
Yeah, well, that looks quite nice.
Here we go. Who's coming? Who's going to be the final one in West Ham?
It's the Serbian team.
Oh, who is it? TSC.
It is, yeah.
Interesting.
Back at Topola. Let me give you a little bit of cheeky information on them. First appearance in the tournament. This is the one that has the jail, the prison football stadium. For anyone who wants to know, they don't, but it looks like it. 4,500 seater stadium. Currently first in the Serbian Super League.
I wonder what the allocation will be like on tickets for that. 3 for West Ham. Exciting. I'd have taken that.
There's a group.
How is everyone feeling in the comments? Who are we most worried about in the group? Be the biggest challenge.
Freiburg will be, I think, in our group, wouldn't they?
Yeah, not going to be that easy.
To be honest, I think it's look at Athens. Athens are going in Group B with Brighton, Marseille, and Ajax. But I think on paper, it doesn't. It's the fact it's their first ever tournament, Europa League appearance for TSC. You just don't know what to expect. I know on paper you should, but you just don't know what to expect. And we spoke about that with Sharif earlier on. But Olympiacos and Freiburg, they're going to be tough fixtures for us. But that's good. That's what you come into these European competitions to get very good opposition, obviously. So
yeah, that's what we want. Brighton's group, definitely a difficult one. Brighton wouldn't want to be in their position necessarily. Yeah, everyone's saying Freiburg. Freiburg are the ones to watch. Liverpool got the easiest group by far, along with Leverkusen.
Yeah, they got Toulouse, Liverpool, so that's a winnable group for them.
Very, very much so. TSC are an unknown, so it could be a banana skin. It does always make it so much harder when you don't know as much about an opposition. Got to go in with the right mindset as well, haven't you? You don't want to be underestimating anyone. Freiburg again.
Quite excited about the Olympiacos one though, because their fans are so Freiburg as well. Known as being quite lively and up for it. So definitely that'll make for an interesting tie. Definitely.
100%.
Who Brighton finished off with? Marseille, Ajax, and Athens. Yeah, definitely. We're the ones to watch. Good point, Toby. We are the ones to watch. I think everyone will be. Do you know what though? Equally, yeah, you're right, Toby. Teams in that group will be looking at that, going, "Yeah, we need to keep an eye on them." Especially, Kudos as well with such a good, strong European pedigree.
So you what? Group G? That's anyone's. That is literally anyone's Group G.
Yeah, it really is. I couldn't even pick one.
Yeah, I know, like Roma, obviously they're a massive Italian club, but like, really, there's a chance for another club there.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Group C, pretty rough for Rangers.
We're just going to get some final details out with regards to when the games take place, all that sort of stuff. But there is our group. West Ham will be taking on Olympiacos, Freiburg, and TSC from Serbia. I'm just going to bring up the things for you just now. Let me find it. Olympiacos, page 8. Oh, I think have we got David Moyes here? What's he doing? Has he got? Oh no, he's not. No.
False alarm.
Yeah, false alarm. Let me just quickly find. There we are. There. I'll bring up this one for you. So this is Olympiacos. Play at the Karaskias, whatever arena, 33.3k seater stadium. Currently first in the Greek league as well. Let me find you the next one. Oops.
A lot of honours for Olympiacos.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it's the team that you said. This is the kind of unknown Serbian team, first time appearing in the Europa League.
Prison Stadium.
Yep, 4,500.
You know, it's probably the nicest stadium as well. You'll probably go there and be like, "Oh, this doesn't look like a prison at all."
And then finally, the one that you did say, Dan, that maybe you want to watch would be this one here, SC Freiburg.
Wow, it's that, and you get to piss up in Germany, which is class.
Yeah.
What more could you wish for?
Yeah.
But yeah, listen, at the end of the day, you need to be in the tournament, and that's what you want. And I am buzzing about that, and I think we're going to be. I do agree with you, Toby. I think teams will look at West Ham and go, "Oh shit, look at their recent history as well." So, are we bringing you in? Are you coming in? Oh, look, he's made the movement.
Here he is.
He's made the move. Do you know, as an interesting point, actually, in terms of the group, obviously we've got the screenshot now of the group. So you've got obviously TSC, Serbia. Serbia is a really hard place to get to. And obviously, don't forget, we are banned for the first away game. Fans are, aren't we, as a result of so actually, if we could get the first away game to be the TSC game, that wouldn't be a bad thing, because then people don't miss out a trip to Germany or Greece. So yeah. But yeah, Buzz, I think, do you know what? We've got away with one now. I really think we've got away with it. Us and Liverpool. Brighton, fuck off. So nice for Brighton to get turned over. There you go. But yeah, no, I think we've done all right there. We've done all right there, I think.
Definitely take that draw.
Yeah, I'm just waiting to see the kind of final details in terms of the fixtures. They should bring them out.
So basically what they do is they throw it into a supercomputer now. That's why sometimes things were like jumping about, because it was about sort of home, like early kickoffs and late kickoffs. So what they do is they throw it into the computer and it gives you the final placings. So, we come out third in that group, so to speak, in terms of how the home and away all works. So that's what is going to be happening shortly. But no, yeah, I think we've done all right there.
Yeah, no, exactly the same. Lots of positivity in the comments as well. We're feeling good about this.
Well, do you know what? As much as we always look at the opposition, we need to focus on the fact of the matter is that West Ham were seeded number one, and rightly so. So teams will look at West Ham and go, shit. We're sitting there going, oh, Freiburg. We're sitting there going, oh, Olympiacos, and then looking at Brighton's group, but Olympiacos and all them will be looking at them going, I'm fucking glad I avoided West Ham. With the signings they've made and all that sort of stuff. So it's a good position for us to be in.
You totally agree, and the likes of Freiburg. I mean, Olympiacos. You obviously got the Nottingham Forest connection there as well. It's they're going to fancy. They're going to like. Well, Freiburg will have a good day out of West Ham. I mean, the capacity is 33,000, 34,000. Then you've got the prison. But we've got two big decent sides there in terms of Freiburg and Olympiacos in terms of capacity for away fans as well. So, as I said, I wouldn't mind that TSC game being the one that we don't go to, just to help people out a little bit, because otherwise it's going to be
Yep.
Harder to get.
Olympiacos, they came third in their domestic league last term to qualify for the Europa League, and they defeated a team in Serbia to qualify through the playoff rounds. SC Freiburg from Germany came fifth in the Bundesliga last term. They've in their sixth European campaign in their history. They reached the Europa League round of 16 last season before losing to Juventus. And then obviously TSC, the Serbian side, finished second in their domestic league last term and entered the Europa League, having been defeated by Braga in the Champions League third qualifying round. And now, as Russ said, the draw has taken place. Clubs will now hold discussions with each other, UEFA and other relevant stakeholders, to decide and confirm the fixture list. So hopefully, like what Russ said, making a valid point there about the Serbia, that we can get a deal done to make sure that that game is the first away game. That would be ideal. That would really be ideal, and then we can move on and push forward in the Europa League draw.
Would be brilliant. Yeah. How are we feeling then? Are we happy with that draw?
Yeah, I think we've done a good one. I think we've done a good one then. And what we will do, we will be putting together our compendium. Sort of start. What we need to know about Olympiacos, all we need to know about TSC, all we need to know about Freiburg, and in terms of the who they are and all their stuff, and we'll be doing that. I'll be beavering around in the background doing that in a bit, I think.
Sorry, just quickly, Liverpool have just rejected £150 million official bid for Salah. They have officially rejected it.
Wow.
Just I know this is not the transfer show, but that is exactly what they've done. So that's just came up, so it's worthy talking about.
That is a lot.
Wow.
That is a lot.
That's a lot of
maybe
money.
they're just not confident that they can replace him with the time.
I think that's more of a case, because I mean he's 31, isn't he? So
that's unbelievable money, but it's just you've got to replace him before the window shuts, and it's not long left, is there? What?
Yeah.
Well, take the 150
hours.
Who was it? Was I talking to you, Dan? It was like we were talking the other day. It's like they get him. Well, then just give us all the money for. I don't want Bowen to go. I get that, but that's the only way that the club could be tempted. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's like give us
150 mil. They might be able to have Bowen.
Yeah, they might be a bit tempted with that one. We want
it all. Touching on that comment there as well. Obviously, we've got a big stadium compared to the ones that we're facing, so hopefully it will be quite an intimidating atmosphere for people to come to the London stadium.
Yeah. It'll be buzzing, won't it? It'll be buzzing. We'll have Tony Perry, and we'll have the fireworks, and we'll have all that stuff. And it's a bit different because obviously, Europa League were a lot more stringent in terms of than the conference. The conference basically didn't give much of a shit, to be honest. We could sort of do what we wanted a little bit, but the league's a little bit more up. It's like if you got Champions League, even worse. But so we would obviously. People go, why don't you play bubbles twice? We can't play bubbles twice because under Europa League we can't. So they have to put their little crappy music out, whatever it's called. But it'll still be good. Still be good fun. And we've got the dates in the thing, haven't we? We've got the dates of the games. We just don't know when they're going to be played. So the dates will be played. I forgot when. I can't remember where it is anyway. But yeah, starts set a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah. I think it was, did someone say 21st earlier? I think might be
21st September, be 21st of September.
Yeah, so I did.
Really does crack on.
Top that group, go straight through to round of 16, save the legs, and
I'll tell you what, if we don't, in all honesty, if we don't top that group, I'll be very disappointed.
Yeah,
and that's not been Spursy or anything. Or we should be beating those sides. Olympiacos, I think, is going to be the tough one because they've got a really random. They do turn it. They've got a great. They do get the random results in Europe. Freiburg, I think we could probably overtake them. But obviously, don't forget, Tim will know all about them. Tim will know all about Freiburg.
Tim knows everyone. Tim knows everything.
He knows everyone. He knows Alan Irvine.
I was just about to say, that was the one that's got my tongue there. I was going to say he knows Alan Irvine.
I need to learn about this Alan man.
He's brilliant. Just watch his showreel. The man's a genius.
It does look really good.
He's so random. But I think actually, it's like sorry, I think that's I don't think you'll see someone like Flynn Downs come back because he's the same age as Flynn Downs, isn't he, as well? it's a bit random. But we're sending him back to them.
Yeah.
That's the bit. That's the bit. He's like 23, but he's going back there on loan, so we won't see him until he's 24.
24, yeah. Which then Flynn finishes his loan spell. It's like, well, okay. But when we did that, when we going to try and do that with Andre in Brazil as well, we were going to buy him and then get him in January after the Brazilian season finishes. But I can't see much happening with us. I'll be honest at the moment. There will be a few outs. I still think that will happen. It's going to be interesting, I think, to see what happens in the game itself. I can imagine, I don't know, Ben Rahm's just about to come off the bench or whatever, and then Moyes gets, no, come off. No, you're off, mate. Sorry, you're off to the Saudi League. You're off to haven't they set up shop in like Cannes or something like that? Like all the Saudi teams are like they got a whole hotel in Cannes or something in the south of France, so they can try and get all these European deals through as soon as possible, rather than having to deal, obviously, with the time difference and going out to Jeddah or whatnot. So brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Although I don't like TSC's logo. It looks a bit like something you'd make on Photoshop. In all honesty, I don't think Dan would approve. In all honesty, Let's
see if
not a fan.
Not a fan. I'm just starting to do the our little thing we do like we always do.
I see it.
It looks a bit clip arty, doesn't it, Dan?
It looks a bit.
I think it's the shadowing and then the glare at the top.
It's a little glare at the top. That's it.
They put a little what's name on there.
A little shine.
Away with the effects.
Can't think of the bloody. Brain's not
working.
If only you were
a graphic designer or something, Dan.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it.
Love it. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm beaving away at the background trying to do these all you need to know is about Olympiacos and stuff. So, I'm just not.
I mean, unless you're going to carry on talking, I'm going to go and get some lunch because I'm coming back on at 2:00. I'm going to come back on at 2:00.
Well, let's do that.
Are you going to come? Are you going to talk or
no? I've got a jet.
You guys have been busy. I'm still working, so I'll stay on for another 15-20 minutes, and then we'll get people's thoughts, and then we're back at 2. So you don't want to. People can have a wee themselves, can't they? And have something to eat before we go.
Perfect.
Well, I'll leave you in the good hands of Russ, and I'll see you back here at 2:00.
I'll stay with you, Russ, for a bit.
Bye.
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 Bye. Thank you. That's it. Finally, that's it. The kids have left. The adults turn up now. Right, let's go through some comments. Cheers, everyone. A great day. Lee, hope you're well. MS Paint, indeed. They really named a tea after me. TSC, very good. Yeah, very good.
Their inspiration.
Yeah, exactly. TBS are better. Buy their mods holidays. No chance for that with us. None of these teams have seen anything like Moyes ball. Irish Tommy's in. We'll have Irish Tommy later on. He'll be joining us in the evening after the Luton game. Oh, it's a real piss of this Luton game. I can really do without it. I'm trying to sort of do all the transfer, and I can see. I know Moyes is really pissed off of it, and I would be too. I can't believe that they've allowed this to happen on transfer window. Yeah, it's just ridiculous, isn't it? Really.
Right in the way, we've got so much going on as well with the draw. We didn't need this in the middle.
Exactly. It's not our fault that we're so successful now that we have. We've got to do all this stuff. But no, I just think we've got. If anyone who's new, who's just tuned in, I'm sure you know the group stages, but these are the groups. I think personally, we've got ourselves out of one. Yeah. I think we've. You look at someone like Brighton. I mean, old man Shaggy feels sorry for Brighton. I don't. But I think we've actually done quite well. Actually, not done well, but yeah, it would have been. Maybe again, this is the same as when each draw we've had, each group draw. I thought in the Europa League 2 years ago, I thought we got a little bit done in terms of the sides. We had like the likes of Zagreb and nothing really, no sort of big hitters. And last year as well, I thought we had quite a good group. Again, no big hitters, and we've missed. No disrespect to Olympiacos and Freiburg, we've missed Ajax, we've missed Marseille, we've missed Betis, Sporting. We've missed the really big sides. Obviously, we weren't going to be playing the likes of Rome or anything like that. Maybe it's a shame we didn't get Liverpool's draw, but do you know what? I don't think. I think it's okay. I think we've got Greece. You've got Germany, and you've got Serbia. You've otherwise had. I mean, Union SG are a funny side. They've got a really good heritage. And the picture I sent Anton, I actually sent him another picture because it was a really weird angle. But anyway, Toulouse, a very dodgy side as well. So yeah, it's not great. It's a nice group indeed. I think so.
As well earlier about Liverpool's group, and there's like two ways to look at it, isn't there? You either want the easiest fixtures or you want some fun teams to play and some good away days. But nothing's guaranteed. And in my opinion, it's actually worse being given an easy team, and then if you don't turn up and you get beaten by them, it's really like it turns things really negative really quickly. So it's almost better getting put up against the big teams, which we know in the Premier League, these are the sides that we actually turn up best against because we try and take it to them a little bit more. So I don't think there's any downside of actually turning up. And you never know, Liverpool could underestimate some of their opponents and that could be game over for them. So
yeah, no, you're right. All right. I mean, so I think again, not likely. I'll be honest. I think they'll be sort of like quite happy with that. Really. I mean, you talk about group of deaths or anything like that. I think Group G's anyone's. I think to be fair, I think someone asked me who you think is going to win. I think if we don't win our group, I'll be very disappointed. I think Group B, I think Ajax could easily get through that, but then Marseille been playing well. Group C could be it. Well, you don't know. I mean, Sparta Prague, they could play Betis. Real Betis, obviously, I think they should really walk that group, I'd imagine. Although Rangers, you never know. Atalanta, Sporting, one of them's going to win. Liverpool will win Group E. Group F, Villarreal, you think should win that. But that's a tough group as well. I mean, Panathinaikos have got a really good pedigree in Europe. Maccabi Haifa is not an easy place to go to at all. And we know about Rennes, but obviously we've had that Doku, but they've spent well on that Doku money. Group G, anyone's, but you imagine Roma would qualify. And Leverkusen really should win. It's going to be interesting to see in terms of the second places, because obviously we, in terms of, it's a very similar situation to the last 2 years where group winners go straight in to the last 16 and the runners up will play the third place of the Champions League that drops in. If we finish third, which I don't expect us to do with that group, we would then drop into the conference and play the playoff with the second team in the conference group. So, it's all about winning the group. We know we've done it twice. Let's do it. So can we do it for a third time? I bloody well hope so with that side.
Hope so. I reckon we can do it as well. Why not? Go straight through to round of 16. That would be absolutely lovely as well. Yeah. Save us a few games here and there as well. Save our legs. Batter some Premier League teams in the meantime.
Indeed, and don't forget also we've got situations now. We've got we are getting the squad now. There's a lot more depth to the squad now. Obviously, we've still got another 10 and a bit hours of the transfer window. So you may get one or two in, maybe obviously, and then Jesse after the transfer window. So I think it's good. I think it's good, mate. I think it's good.
I'd like to think we're not going to let go of any key players now, or players that we're likely to be using this season. And we could bring in Jesse. So there is hope that we can continue to strengthen and grow that squad. And we have pretty much exceeded expectations in terms of the lack of squad depth we've had and how we've managed to perform in Europe with that. That is absolutely baffling when you look at some of the best teams in Europe and how they rotate, save people's legs, give them 20 minutes here and there so that they can rest them for big games. We've not had the luxury of being able to do that. So if we can start doing that, which it looks like we can with that midfield at the moment, the amount of squad rotation and players that can be versatile and play in different positions, and we can tactically approach different teams with different setups, unbelievable. I think it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, no, totally. I think also you've got a situation where, just think tonight, for example, we know there's going to be no Souček, but it's not like, where before we may have gone, oh God, the world's crashing around us. Well, not so with Thomas Souček, but you know what I mean. But I think it's great, and it's great that we've got some consistency now, and we've got a squad now which there's going to be people fighting for places all over the place, which is great. Which is exactly what we want. We want decent, but we want also options as well. We don't want people coming off and then bringing the same type of person on. So someone like took off Benny and bring on Kudus, for example. It's a completely different type of player. And usually we do like for likes, but with the likes of Flynn going on loan, you've got the ability to take off maybe a Thomas Souček and bring on a Pablo Fornals and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll see. And I wonder if Tim's going anywhere. I wonder if Tim is going to go on a little cheeky flight anywhere. I don't know.
Like Tim on Find My Friends.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or that Life 360
Map.
that I use as well for Flo and Joe. But yeah, no, I think so. We'll have to keep an eye on that. As I said, any breaking news we'll bring to you. Manton's going to be back on at 2, so what I thought we'll give you an hour's rest from us and let other people talk about West Ham. And we're back at 2 o'clock. Yeah, I know. We're back at 2 o'clock with the transfer rumour show, and then obviously we start the sort of the pre-match stuff going into the Luton game, and obviously we'll have a watch along, and then afterwards we'll have a little bit extra in terms of that extra hour in terms of the transfer window, as long as it may be. Christ knows how many it's going to be minutes we'll have extra time, so we'll see how much less we've got to sort of fill with the transfer window. But yeah, and I think you deserve a bit of a rest. Put your feet up hole for a little bit.
Gonna go and chill. Might have a nap.
Have a nap.
You can't nap on deadline day. What am I talking about?
You are with child. You're allowed to have a nap, you know.
Every now and again.
Yeah, exactly. Don't forget, guys, if you are new around here, give it a like, give it a comment. There's loads of new faces we've seen, so please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification, maybe become a channel member and get your little, some people got little crosses next to their names, little crossed hammers. That's because they're a channel member and they get into a prize draw. We'll probably do the September draw maybe today anyway, so we'll probably do it tonight. So you've got a few hours if you want to become a channel member and get entered into that to win probably a signed football. That'll do. Signed from the Europa Conference League winners. So yeah, and for the others who have won prizes, I have them all boxed up and they're going to be sent out by post this weekend. So there we go. I've been a busy boy. Until then, from myself, Holly, and from Dan, and from Anton, take care, stay safe, have a lovely lunch, lovely break from the West Ham network, and we'll be back later on. We'll also put up a little video in terms of a bit more information about Olympiacos, TSC, and Freiburg as well. So take care, much love, see you soon. Bye-bye.
See you in an hour. Bye.